don't make I ain't made a record since the 80s. Records were never my primary thing. I wanted to experience that. It's like a kid. Nigga, I always wanted to be on stage. I always wanted to get some backstage sex and the whole 9 yards. And I did that shit. It was something I did. It was a phase of my life that I did. I'm not a rapper per se. I damn sure can't sing. I can't play no instruments, but I've been DJing all my life. But I have DJing, got to scratching and folks scratching with their lips and eyebrows and shit. I left that alone, but I still play. I got gigs right now. But I've always did my thing a little different. But it don't mean I didn't do my thing. So I've always provided platforms on the West Coast for everybody to be successful. That's why when they played me as a hater in Straight Outta Compton, I was a little disappointed because I've never been a hater. I couldn't have done what I've done being a hater. So that being said, you do a little research. Check out how. Tell you what, go to IMBD and type in my name, Alonzo Williams or Lonzo Williams, and see how many documentaries pop up. All right, that's what. Go to my IBD or IMBD. That's what you do. Go to my. I got one. Look for Disco Daddy's IMBD, or look for Disco or Just Lovers IMBD. Look for either one of them. See if they got one. I got one. Okay, it's deep. It's deep. It's deep. Anyway, folks, when it came to Welcome to Death Row, they tricked me. I did not get a call to be a part of Welcome to Death Row. I got a call from Doug Young to be a part of a documentary on West Coast hip hop. My friend, my friend who was still a friend of mine right now, she's a publicist, Edna Sims, called me when it came time to do the premiere, and she says, "Hey, you want to come to the premiere of Welcome to Death Row?" I'm like, "Why I want to do that?" She said, "Because you're in it." I said, "Bullshit." "Yes, you are." I said, "Okay, cool." So she sent me a ticket. I came down there, and if you haven't seen the documentary, right after the credits, the first person you see is me. I looked a little different back then. I didn't have my beard. I was a little bit chunkier, but I was still me. Okay, and I spoke throughout. I was in and out of that whole documentary, and one of the lines in the documentary, I said something that I almost regret it, but fuck it, it is what it is. And I said there was a certain young man that said he was selling his soul to the devil for $1 million, and next thing it cut to Suge Knight. Okay, true story. Yella says it all the time. He won't say who said it. I did in the documentary. I ain't gonna repeat that shit again because I don't need no problems. Anyway, she didn't call me. Now she may have called everybody else, but Doug Young called me. Now I didn't at that time because they was bringing everybody in individually. I don't know who else was in there till we saw the final cut. I know my boy Jay King from Club Nouveau was in there. A few other folks were in there, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I can't recall all the artists that was in that documentary. But I know she didn't call me. Brother that called me, I think it was Doug Young, and the guy who I ended up who is still friends of mine right to this day is Jerry Dobie, who is the publisher for for one of them hip hop magazines. What is this magazine called? Hold on.
Excel Source, Murder Dog, 4080.
Let me see here. Hold on there.
Street.
Damn it! Let me look him up again. Hold on there. Hype magazine. That's my partner. He and I became friends on the set of Welcome to Death Row. He came to the club that night. I had my club in Inglewood. He came by that night, and we've been partners ever since. Okay. And unfortunately, he's on the phone right now. He sent me a text that he can't talk right now. He'll try and call me back. But yeah, that's how I got into the movie Welcome to Death Row. And again, I'm not discrediting her, saying that she didn't call everybody else, but she just didn't call me.
Okay. Ah, shoot. All right. Yeah, let me see here. All right, Lonzo. So we got about 8 minutes. Let's talk about this, man. Yesterday, March 31st, was the 6-year anniversary since we lost Nipsey Hussle, taken out tragically outside of a business that he owned by one of his close associates, by most accounts. 6 years. Take yourself back to that day. We did a show about it back then, and just fast forward to 2025. Has anything changed? Talk to me just about Nipsey Hussle.
Man, that was a strange day. I'll never forget it as long as I live. I was in the studio where I'm right now in the control room. I've been in the main studio. I was building something. I was working on something, and my engineer was in the room. Mega Hands was in the studio. He says, "Oh hell no!" I said, "What happened, man?" He said, "I just got a text. Nipsey Hussle got shot." I didn't know who Nipsey Hussle was. I had no idea. I'm sorry. I had seen his posters when he was doing this thing, was selling the CDs for $100 or something like that. I remember that. I remember that whole internet thing. I also remember meeting him briefly at Chambers Shoe Shine Parlor a few years back, but I didn't know he hadn't blown up yet. He said, "Man, if that dude died, it's gonna be some shit in the streets." Again, why? And he was telling me how Nipsey was, he was trying to do a lot of things in the 60 hood, blah, 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 and that he was very, very powerful. And again, it did not register how powerful he was, how influential he was. And when he died, he was like, "Man, I got to get out of here. I got to get home." And he came by a couple of days later, and he was over here, and he told me and here's the crazy part. He got scared because for fear of how people were going to react. I'm like, "Dude, you had nothing to do with that." He said, "It don't make no difference, man. The cats going to be looking for revenge." Why do they want to take revenge on somebody who had nothing to do with it? They know who did it, and none of it ever made sense to me. But it was some street logic that defied logic in my book. And sure enough, when Nipsey passed, it was, the whole city was in mourning. And again, it was kind of a shock for me. I remember they started playing this music on the radio. I remember Steve Harvey. I'm not familiar with this guy, but he must be somebody big because everybody's asking to play his music. And then to see that at that time the Staples Center was used for his funeral, I'm like, who the hell is this dude? And then the whole city was shut down the day of his funeral. The streets were blocked. The caravan went from the Staples Center all the way to Manchester, I think it was, down Manchester, up La Brea. I'm at another guy's office on La Brea and Centinela, and people is passing by waving still in the caravan. They still had a makeshift escort. They had 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, the whole 9 yards. And I had in my life, I had never seen LA get shut down like that for anyone. And it was really odd because a couple of weeks later, John Singleton died. And I thought he would be, it'd be a much bigger deal. But it's like just another nigga died and made movies. And I was told, I thought John Singleton's funeral would be a lot bigger than what it wasn't. It was just another dude that died and made movies. But Nips was something that I hadn't seen since Michael Jackson died.